Hello team. In this tutorial, we will be discussing regarding different views in ClickUp. So let's get started. Let's start to learn about different views in ClickUp and how they help us manage tasks more efficiently. One of ClickUp's biggest strengths is that it allows us to view the same tasks in multiple ways without creating duplicate data. This means we can organize and visualize our projects according to our needs. At the top of the workspace, we can use the views bar to switch between different views. The most commonly used views are list view, board view, calendar view, and Gantt view. Each view is designed for a different purpose. For example, some views are better for detailed task management, while others are better for planning schedules or tracking project progress visually. An important thing to remember is that all views are connected. If we update a task in one view, the changes automatically appear in every other view. This keeps the entire project synchronized and organized. Let's first talk about the list view and the board view. The list view is the default view in ClickUp. It looks similar to a spreadsheet where tasks are displayed in rows and columns. Here, we can easily see important task information such as status, assignee, due date, and priority. This view is very useful for detailed task management because we can sort tasks, apply filters, and even edit multiple tasks at the same time. People who like structured and organized data usually prefer the list view. Next is the board view, also known as the Kanban view. In this view, tasks appear as cards inside columns. These columns usually represent statuses such as to do, in progress, and done. One of the best features of the board view is drag and drop functionality. We can simply drag a task card from one column to another to update its status. This is especially useful in agile teams, daily meetings, and workflow tracking because it gives a quick visual overview of project progress. Now, let's discuss the calendar view and the Gantt view. The calendar view displays tasks according to the start dates or due dates. It helps teams plan, schedule, manage deadlines, and track upcoming work. For example, if a task is due on Friday, it will appear on that specific date in the calendar. We can also drag and drop tasks to quickly reschedule them. This makes planning much more easier and flexible. Next, we have the Gantt view. The Gantt view is a timeline-based project management view. It displays tasks as bars across a timeline, helping us understand task duration, overlaps, and project schedules. This view is very helpful for project managers because it also supports task dependencies. This means one task can depend on another before it starts. For large projects with strict deadlines, the Gantt view provides a clear picture of the overall project timeline and helps identify delays or scheduling conflicts. To conclude, all these views are simply different ways to visualize the same tasks. Teams can choose the view that works best for their workflow and project needs. So now let's move on to the practical demonstration. Okay, let's start with the practical implementation. So you can see on the top, there are a number of views. You have the mind map view, the map, the Gantt view, the list view, the board view. So the number of views here. So the list view is the most popular. We've currently opened that. So this has its own advantages and disadvantages. So if you're comfortable working in Excel sheets, you'll be would with list view, where we see the name of the tasks, we see the assignee, the due dates, and the priority, and we can add additional columns also. Then we have the board view. So the board view is simply drag and drop. We can drag one task into another lane. So basically these are statuses. We can also add other lanes. For example, we can filter a lane for a single assignee, or we can add another column by the due dates. So these are also other scenarios. We can update this board view, but that's a bit complicated. We can leave that out for now. So we also have the Gantt view. So Gantt view, this is very similar to MS Project. I think some of you might have heard of it. So this has a different type of visualization. We can simply change the schedule by changing the size of the graph. So we can change the timeline. We can also reduce it. So it's simply drag and drop, and we can also add dependencies. So let's put a dependency over here. So with this dependency, one task will not be able to be completed without the other. So this is also a useful function of the Gantt chart. You have the list of items on the left side. We have the due dates, and you have the visualization also. Next, we have the calendar view. So the calendar view has representation as per your, just like a calendar, I would say. So this is shows the due date. For example, the design, the due date is on the 27th. So if you simply make changes, if you put in the start date, and let's change the start date from the 24th. So we would be able to see. Let me refresh that. Okay. Okay, let me check the due date also. Okay, let me go a due date to this. Let's give it 28th. So it has a start date and a due date. So you can see it's stretching. So the first date is the start date, and if the date it finishes, that's the due date. So this is the advantage of a calendar view. You can simply see the scheduling of all your tasks by clicking on the calendar view. It's a very good visual representation. You can also see if any of the projects intersect. For example, one task might be on the same day as the other task. So let me assign a task here. Okay, for the task, we'll have to go back to the list view. So let's add another task, task A. Let's put a start date. Okay, let's put it 27th and the due date to 30th. So let's go back to the calendar view. So you can see, we can easily see if we've got working on two projects at the same date. So we can adjust accordingly. So we can simply remove the duration and pull back the duration of the design so that we can adjust the new project task A. So these are the useful features of the calendar view. We also have other views, the mind map view. Okay, this is, I think this one is paid, so we can leave that. Let's look at other views. Let's look at the table view. This is also useful. We can see all the information in a table form, and we can see the priorities, the due dates. This could be very useful in certain scenarios. Okay. Any other useful view? I think that's around it. There are a lot of random views. We also have a team view. I think this is also paid, so we can leave that out. So yeah, this was the views chapter. Thanks a lot for watching.